Welsknight here with another video. Got a couple other questions that I'm going to answer for you. Some of them are requests and some of that kind of stuff. So let's get right into it. The game here, of course, is Rome 2 Total War. Still new, still good. I'm loving it so far. First thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about population growth. This was a request from MechLSD on YouTube, so I'm going to answer that for him. Your population growth is shown right here when you click into the province. All right, and it's going to display things that are affecting the growth rate, what the growth rate is, and all that good stuff. So right now in this province in Africa, my current growth rate is 20. That means my accumulated growth is going up by 20 per turn. Right now I have 19 accumulated growth. So next turn I will have 39 accumulated growth. And then it will grow by another 20 and so on and so forth until it reaches 188, which is the growth required for a population surplus. When that happens, this little number is going to change to a 4, and then I will be given a new number required for a population surplus, and it will continue to grow. There are several things that affect your growth rate. Province effects, you can find those down here in this corner. The people in this province are encouraged by my rule, so +1 growth per turn. Okay, so that's giving me 1 growth. Buildings in the province are giving me growth. Most of the buildings, like the actual settlements themselves, will give you growth rate. +5 growth per turn, +3 growth, +3 growth, +3 growth. Some of the other buildings may as well, depending on what they are. There's some of the temples that do, some of the city center buildings do, some of the ports do. It depends on what buildings you decide to create. But buildings, of course, affect your population growth. Technologies, there are various technologies you can research. Oop, wrong one. Sorry about that. Here we go. Technologies that influence your population growth. That's mainly going to be this one right here, this one right here, and there's one. Here's one, and looks like that's pretty much it in that tree. But they're all going to fall under economic technology for the most part. But there are some technologies you can increase to. You can research to increase your growth rate. And then, of course, there's food. You'll see that I'm getting 5 population growth due to my food. I have 40 food per turn, so that's giving me a pretty nice bonus. As far as provinces go, they share not only culture, but also happiness. So this province, I control the entirety of it. You'll see my happiness is 45, and it's going up by 8 per turn. When I go to Lepsis over here, which is part of the same province, you'll see it's the same. 45 happiness, 8 public order growing. Same goes for culture. This whole province is 100% Latin culture right now. Culture is shared by all of the settlements in a province, regardless of whether you own them or someone else owns them. So when I come up to Tolosa, which is a province that I own one of the settlements in, Massilia, one of my vassals, or whatever they're called now, owns, you'll see that 58% of Tolosa is Latin culture, and same here. I mean, the whole thing shares the same culture. So, for example, when I come in here, same. This is for the entire province, not just my settlement that I own. It's for the AIs as well. That is different than happiness. You'll see that my happiness in Tolosa is 100%. It would increase by 17 per turn, the public order. However, it's already at 100, and that's where it caps. It can't get higher than 100%. Massilia, on the other hand, and I can see their details by hovering over this little spy icon. This tells me what intelligence I've gathered on a settlement. You'll see that their public order is a little bit different. They're at 98 public order, and it's only increasing by 4 per turn, as opposed to me, I'm already at 100 and at 17. So what you can take away from this, some of the agent actions will be spread your culture into this settlement. That's going to be true mostly of your... oh, wrong one. Here we go. Agent. That's going to be true mostly of your dignitaries or whatever the corresponding agent is based on your faction. Spies, champions, they're going to also have various actions that will be related to culture and or public order. Once again, public order is shared by the entire province. Culture is shared by the entire province. Public order is not. So if I take one of my agents up here and spread my culture into Massalia, the culture for the entire province will go up. If I take one of my agents up here and try to start a revolt, my public order in Tolosa will stay the same, but Massalia's will go down. So that's just that's the deal there with culture happiness in provinces. There are some bonuses, some buildings that you can research to give you a bonus. One example would be, let me find a good, here we go. So this shipwright is giving me plus 10% wealth from maritime commerce buildings. That affects all of the settlements in my province. It is not just this settlement. It's not just this settlement. It's all of the settlements in the province. So since I have 2 ports here, they're both getting that bonus. As far as I can tell, it is not faction-wide. So yes, I will get the bonus on these 2 settlements, but I will not get it down here in these other settlements that also have ports. So, and that's going to be true. There are certain buildings that will increase the bonus for the entire faction. Those will clearly be labeled bonus, whatever it is, and it will say in parentheses faction-wide. And then you'll know that that's affecting all of the various territories, settlements, and provinces that you own. There are also certain technologies you can research that will increase your research speed. So, for example, I keep opening up a diplomacy when I mean to go into research. So, I'm sorry, most of the research buildings are actually buildings for bonuses. Let me see if I can find one down here. So, like these archives, for example, they give me a plus 10% research rate. Personally, I haven't really used, and that's obviously going to be a faction-wide bonus because your research tree is faction-wide. Personally, I haven't really used them a whole lot just because I think some of the other buildings are going to be a little bit more beneficial. But if it was, for example, a 10% bonus per turn on a technology that takes 20 turns to research, that's going to knock 2 turns off of it. And if I have one here and one here and one here, that can add up. So it may be beneficial to do so. I personally really haven't used them a whole lot just because it takes a while to get them up to the point where they are giving you 5 or 10 or 20% bonuses, and the number of them that I would have to get in place in order for me to get a substantial bonus from them, it just doesn't really seem all that worth it to me. So that's just my opinion, but you know, play around with it if you think it's something that you would want to do. The last thing that I'm going to talk about in this video, or I'm sorry, actually I have 2 other things to talk about in this video. Let's talk about food. You obviously have culture-wide food. I have 40 food right now. I am in a food surplus. I'm getting some bonuses, plus 5 growth per turn, plus 20% unit replenishment for that. That food covers all of my various provinces. You'll see that some of these provinces are exporting food with the little green bread symbol, and some of them are importing food with a little red bread symbol. Some of them will have a yellow, not in my case, in this particular campaign, but some of them, sometimes you'll see a yellow bread. That means they are not exporting food, but they have enough food that they can sustain themselves, so they don't need to import food either. Where this comes into play tactically is replenishment and attrition rates. Sometimes you'll find a city that is taking attrition, or an army that's taking attrition, even though they're in their own territory, like this one, for example. You can see by this little red skull that this army is taking attrition, even though he's in a city and he owns this territory. The reason for that is he's got several different stacks of armies and navies, and this is the only territory that this faction controls at this point. And he doesn't have enough food to support all of his armies and navies and all this other various stuff. He has very little food. It looks like he may not even have a food source. So because of that, all of his armies and navies are going to be taking attrition every turn. Or I think it may just be, I think it's actually just the armies. All of his armies will take attrition every turn until he finds a new food source. On the flip side, I have more than enough food. Probably more than I need. So all of my armies would have a substantial bonus to their replenishment rates. I've had battles fought where I've had a unit get knocked down to here, over halfway, losing, say, 80 troops or 100 troops or even, 120 troops, and they completely replenish within 2 to 3 turns because I have such a massive amount of food to give them that bonus. So food definitely comes into play. It also affects your growth. If you have a food shortage, your growth will be hurt by that. If you have a food surplus, your town growth will be increased. And I believe it has something, I believe it actually helps your public order as well. Let's see. Maybe not. I guess it doesn't affect your public order, but that's an overview of food. Last thing I'm going to talk about is going to be mercenaries. Mercenaries can be very, very useful. I'm about to launch an attack up here and try and take out these guys. What the? Stupid grr. My character wants to be annoying. It may be to my benefit to recruit some mercenaries, such as these elephants, for example. They cost 666 gold to recruit. However, the thing you got to be careful of with mercenaries is the upkeep cost. 456 upkeep per turn for these elephants. To put that into perspective for you, my Praetorians are 143 per turn. So I can have 3 units of Praetorians for the cost of a single unit of elephants. That's a lot of money. And if you recruit too many mercenaries, that's going to cut into your bottom line very, very quickly. So you need to be careful there. What I usually do with mercenaries is I will recruit them right before I'm going to attack if I think they're needed. I will launch the attack, hopefully come out with a win, and then I will disband the mercenaries right afterwards so I don't have to pay that ridiculous upkeep cost. I do like the way that they did mercenaries in this game. Mercenaries, obviously, if you're paying mercenaries for your army, you're going to have to continue to pay them more than your regular soldiers, which basically are, you own their soul. I'm a military guy myself, and Uncle Sam owns my soul, and there's nothing I can do about it. So, if I was a mercenary, on the other hand, I would continue to be paid a pretty substantial amount of money. So I think it's good that they did mercenaries the way that they did. I think that's pretty much it for now. So if you have any other questions, anything else you want to see, just leave a comment. I will try to get to it. And hope you enjoyed. You have a good one. Bye-bye.